And we are live. I'll go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of the City Council for July 7th, 2025. First order of business is invocation and pledge of allegiance. That'll be led by Councilmember Gardner.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, God, thank you for this day and for just the wonderful weekend that we were able to have here in our city, God, and to remember the birth of our nation, Father. We're thankful for what it means to live in this country and the ability that we have to be free and to conduct the business here, even, God, as free people, Lord. We're thankful for those that have put us in this position, and we ask for wisdom with all the decisions that we make as we serve this city each and every day, God. We come to you right now, especially with a lot of thoughts on our hearts about the tragedy in Texas over the weekend, Lord. And we just pray that you will give those individuals that were impacted by the flooding comfort, the families that were impacted, Lord. Just such a terrifying experience, God. And we're already seeing some some silver linings to that, in that there's so many people that have rallied around those communities that were affected, God, and are helping them pull through, Lord. We just ask for the comfort that only you can provide to them. God, be with us this evening, and we thank you for those that work and serve in this city to keep us safe every day. And we just ask for wisdom in all that we do. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. That brings us to approval of the minutes. Y'all received a copy of that in the packet. I'd entertain a motion to adopt the minutes.
So moved. Second.
If there is nothing further, we've got a motion second to adopt the minutes of the June 16th council meeting. All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. I don't have any public comment cards, but we'll move on to the department report, which is Chief Pickard.
Good evening. I was told I had 3 minutes and that I wasn't supposed to go over like the fire department, so don't worry, this will be short and sweet. And I didn't bring any Legos. Sorry. So, just to give you all a briefing on what's going on around the police department. Recently, we were able to complete an assessment center, which is a long process for the promotion of a captain. When it comes to command staff, we look at a whole lot of skills, let's say, and when we're looking to promote, so we put them through the ringer. And recently, Deborah Bagley came out on top, and she filled the vacancy left by David Collins when he retired last year. So that's awesome, which brought up some more folks. We were able to promote one new lieutenant, Asa Ladd. He came to us from Cleburne County. We promoted 2 sergeants, Tony Sepulvado and Shamika Nesbitt. They've both been with us for quite a while. We just had Officer McElroy complete his field training, and so now he's out patrolling on his own. Officer Gully, we just hired him on, and he begins his field training this week. He comes to us from Faulkner County, where he had 6 years of experience. So while he was there, he was on their SWAT team and also their sniper team leader. So he'll bring a lot of value to the department. We're also hiring one from within our department. Our current records clerk, Corinne Ionacone. I hope I got that right. I know Corinne, but she'll be attending the academy later this year, and between now and that time, she's going to be training her replacement. As a records clerk with the police department, she handles our FOI, redaction of videos, redactions of records. She has very big shoes to fill. And with those recent hires, We now have only 2 vacancies remaining, which is great news. Puts us in a place that we haven't been in several years. We're still looking to grow, to better serve our community. Right now, that'll put us at 43 sworn positions filled with 43 available. So we're growing and we're doing good things. We've got 3 major projects that are currently underway. One is accreditation with the Arkansas Chiefs Association. This has been in the works for quite a while. It seems like everybody that I promote into the support services retires after they get this job of the accreditation. But Captain Bagley has been assigned it, and she's already spearheading it, and she's hit the ground running. So hopefully we'll have that knocked out in 2026. I'm not going to hold my breath for 2025 yet. We're also starting up a wellness and peer support program. This program focuses on the officers' mental well-being. It'll benefit not only our department, but surrounding agencies too that we've had to reach out to during critical incidents to come in and talk to our officers. Sometimes you can talk to other officers easier than you can sending them out to EAP. So we're looking forward to that. We've had great response from the officers, so it looks like it's going to go well. Also, the joint training facility with the fire department. We're getting information together to, make sure the city gets the biggest bang for its buck, no pun intended, since I'm looking for a range. In other news, we've created a position with our community relations unit, and this is like an SRO, but it's for our seniors. So what she'll do is she's already started reaching out to the Senior Wellness Center in order to maybe help out the seniors with what to look for in the scams and the other people, bad actors who target our seniors. So hopefully that'll help out and give them a resource to the police department. And this fall, we'll be hosting a Citizens Police Academy, which we do every year, and more information will be coming soon as we get the dates nailed down. And that's it.
Thank you, sir. For those that haven't, on the council or watching at home, if you haven't gone to the Citizens Police Academy, I strongly encourage you to do that. It's a great way to learn more about the police department, and it's fun. But were there any questions, comments? Seeing none? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
One thing that's exciting that Chief mentioned is we're filling a lot of positions with folks, with experienced officers that we're able to steal from other departments and agencies. So that's always nice when we're getting experienced folks. So with that, the next order of business is the Planning Commission report. Councilmember Wesley.
Good evening. I will report on the June 26, 2025 Maumelle Planning Commission meeting. They had one announcement that was omitted from the agenda, and it was ACCA Lot 390R. That's 122 Marche. It was not listed, but it was filed on 6/26/2025. The agenda was really light. There was only one item of new business, which was discussed that a preliminary plat for 5 acres located at 12,400 Lewis Nelson Drive. That plat plan was provided and approved at that meeting. It's a proposed development for a new warehouse space. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, ma'am. That brings us to the procedural motion. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to have all ordinances and resolutions read by title only.
So moved. Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. That brings us to unfinished business. The first item of unfinished business is the second reading of ordinance 1144, enacting supplemental provisions of the city code. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1144, an ordinance adopting and enacting supplemental provisions of the City Code for the City of Maumelle, Arkansas, providing for the repeal of certain ordinances not included therein, providing for the manner of amending such code, and providing when such code and this ordinance shall become effective.
Thank you, ma'am. Open the floor for discussion. Seeing none, this will be on third reading at the next council meeting, which brings us to the next agenda item, which is the second reading of ordinance 1145, accepting annexation of land, Stony Mountain. Madam City Clerk.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1145, an ordinance accepting the annexation of land commonly known as the Stony Mountain Subdivision, to be titled the Stony Mountain Annexation to the City of Maumelle, Arkansas, making the Stony Mountain Subdivision a part of the City of Maumelle, assigning the same land to Ward 4 and for other purposes.
All right, I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion. Seeing none, this will be on third reading at the next city council meeting, which brings us to agenda item C, the second reading of ordinance 1146, amending land use plan for Stony Mountain subdivision. Madam City Clerk.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1146, an ordinance amending the Maumelle Land Use Plan and Map for the Stony Mountain subdivision and for other purposes.
I'll open the floor for discussion. Seeing none, this will be Councilmember Holt.
Mr. Mayor, I mentioned this briefly during the last meeting. It really isn't a big thing, and I'm not trying to make it a big deal. We have three ordinances, which is actually one item. They all pertain to the same deal. At some time, I would like to hear a little bit of the history of putting this together and where it came from. We have a piece of property that we want to annex, but we want to, when we do, we want special use and for it, and then for that, well, we've got to have a zoning for that. So it's all an accumulation. And how did we go about requiring this, or have the need to require it and putting it together that way? And I don't mean to make a long story out of it, but
Sure.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Just the background on this property, Mr. Grummer.
Scott Grummer, Director of Planning Permits. Councilmember Holt, so this property was a development subdivision that came through about a, and I'm sorry, I can't remember, it's been a while, a couple of years, or about a year ago, for pre-approval of a subdivision that is to the west of the the Diamond Point subdivision. Part of that approval, because the land is in the county, the way that we've normally handled those is that the approval of that preliminary plat and development plan is contingent upon the developer bringing that into the city so that we can review the engineering plans and handle all the internal permitting and all that process. So Planning Commission, and I believe that came through City Council, also approved the subdivision plans, the conditional uses for all those. That all was done at that point in time, and it was all contingent upon the annexation being done. So now the developer has worked through their processes. They've taken ownership of that land because the entitlements have been provided to them, and this is one of the final entitlements that they're needing, or is really a requirement of the city for it to be annexed into the city. And we've always run separate ordinances. Annexation, land use, and zoning is separate. Some municipalities prefer to combine those into one ordinance. I think we've talked about that in the past, but it's stayed the same right now as it is. But hopefully that'll give you the context that you're looking for.
Yes, it was a special use. What is it for single or multiple family units, or is it for some other use?
It's all single-family housing development.
So it is a housing development?
Yes.
Okay, all right. That answers my question. I appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
And it is the land use, but I don't think this is a special use. The land use will be single-family detached housing. So it's the SFD land use.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Any additional discussion on ordinance 1146? Seeing none, it'll be on third reading at the next city council meeting, which brings us to the second reading of ordinance 1147, amending the zoning map for Stony Mountain subdivision. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
Be it enacted by the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled Ordinance Number 1147, an ordinance amending the Maumelle zoning map for the Stony Mountain subdivision and for other purposes.
All right, thank you. This is rezoning to R1, which is single-family detached residential. I'll go and open the floor for discussion. Seeing none, this will be on next reading at the next city council meeting. That concludes new business. The first item of new business is a resolution approving the Maumelle Area Chamber of Commerce contract. At this time, I'd like to table that. Typically, we have the report given to us by the executive director of the chamber, and she was not able to be here this evening.
Motion to table resolution 2025-23 to the next council meeting, would that be appropriate, sir?
Yes, sir. I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that tabling? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. That'll be on the agenda at the next city council meeting, which brings us to resolution 2025-24, amending the 2025 general fund budget. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2025-24, a resolution to amend the 2025 general fund budget.
Thank you. So at the June 2nd meeting, we discussed the Gateway Park and the dirt. This is just that resolution that we've come in with appropriating that $160,000. Open the floor for discussion.
Motion to approve resolution 2025-24.
Did I hear a second?
Yes.
Yes. I've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? Councilmember Gardner?
Yes, Mayor, just to kind of follow up on this, the amount that we're adding into this budget of 160, you feel like that's going to cover the additional undercutting and fill that was needed? And then how about other potential overruns? I say overruns, hopefully there are no overruns, but
The contingency.
contingency, yeah. And I think you've mentioned before, this also probably includes a little bit of that.
This anticipates, if the full 4,000 cubic yards of undercut is used, this anticipates about 80,000 contingency funds there. It's looking good. It's looking like we're not going to use the full 4,000 cubic yards. They found a good patch. I don't want to say numbers, but it looks like it'll be closer to 3,500 additional instead of 4,000. But you can see they're starting to lay some of the footings and concrete work, so they're moving past. So that yes, this still leaves some money in the budget.
Thank you, sir.
Though there's not a whole lot, there shouldn't be a whole lot of opportunity for unanticipated cost increases since we've locked in some of the prices for the bridge and the pavilion, and we've got the bathroom kind of locked in. So there's not a whole lot of unanticipated room for that. Famous last words. But we do have a motion and second on this approving resolution 2025-24. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Resolution 2025-24 is adopted. That brings us to Resolution 2025-25, authorizing the mayor to apply for a police and fire grant. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2025-25, A resolution to authorize the mayor to apply for a grant on behalf of the fire and police departments to aid in the construction of the training facility under the Arkansas Community Assistance Grant Program and for other purposes.
Thank you, ma'am. It does say the mayor to apply for it, and I guess it's my name that ends up on the grant, but this is something that Chief Buford has been working on. Chief, did you want to say anything? You have
Good evening.
30 seconds or something?
I'll try to go quick. Bo Buford, 2000 Murphy Drive, Fire Chief. This is, when we found this grant, what the purpose of it is we have a version A and a version B. This is to get the classroom back in. So we have the version A, which we had to utilize the funds that we have, that's been allocated. This would allow us to put that classroom back in and not cause the city any more, financial obligation if we're able to get it. And so we're hoping to go forward with that, and it also would give us a little bit of allowance or contingency for it as well.
Thank you, sir. Were there any questions? No. Thank you. I'll open the floor for discussion on this. I'd entertain a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-25. I've got a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Resolution 2025-25 is adopted. That's one of those that I'd be surprised if it didn't pass. Please don't apply for a grant. Said no city ever. Next item of business is Resolution 2025-26, amending the general fund budget. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2025-26, a resolution to amend the 2025 general fund budget.
Thank you very much. As we know, Ms. Sousa's retiring August 1st. I've made an offer for her replacement that's been accepted. We'd like to have him start a couple weeks early and get cross-training. But to do that, I need the money to pay him, and just some extra payouts that we give to folks when they leave, accrued vacation time, basically. I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion.
Motion to approve Resolution 2025-26. Second.
We've got a motion and a second to approve this. Any additional discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. That brings us to the next resolution. You all should have received an amended copy of it. It just, for those that are wondering what the difference is, the line that says professional audit had 5,500, but the 5,550, but it should have been 5,350, so $200 off. So we just printed that up. Madam City Clerk, if you could please read that by title only.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Maumelle, County of Pulaski, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled Resolution Number 2025-27, a resolution to amend the 2025 general fund budget.
Both of these are fairly good expenses. The council's been going to a lot of training and seminars this year, and I think that's a good thing, but it just means that we didn't quite have that in the budget. And then similar for the clerk's office, plus ordinance codification, which is a variable amount each year, is just tracking higher for this year. I'll go ahead and open the floor for discussion. And by the way, so what we're doing here is we had additional money in the audit, which by the way, everyone should receive their audit book here. It'll be presented by the auditors at the next council meeting. So we've already got that completed and filed to the appropriate folks before June. So Beatrice isn't here, but accolades to her and her department for doing that for the first time in a long time. Have we got it in the first 6 months of the year? But because there wasn't a whole lot of hiccups, we didn't spend as much on that audit. So we're just rolling funds from that we were going to spend on audit over to these other departments. So just some housekeeping there, but there's a net additional expense to the city's budget. Open the floor for discussion.
Motion to approve resolution number 2025-27.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any additional discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Excuse me. There's a couple items listed under mayor's comments that are really new business items, just discussion items. Excuse me. So, please, this is meant to be a discussion, not just me telling y'all what's up. So the first item is Revenue Office and City Museum. Years and years ago, the state had a revenue office in Maumelle, and they were considering closing it down. And when they went to do that, Mayor Johnson, I believe at the time, made an arrangement with them to provide a free space in City Hall for them to use, and that the city would pay various expenses, and all they'd really have to cover are their computer costs and personnel. And we've just carried that on and carried it on in order to keep a revenue office here in Maumelle. A few years back, I remember working with Senator Johnson and Representative Lowry to see if we could get the revenue office, now that Maumelle has grown since then, to pay for a facility or look at getting their own facility in the area. At the time, they weren't interested. However, there's now a location in North Little Rock, but along the boulevard, that is larger than the one here and oftentimes quicker than the one here. And we think that they have reasons to expand. And the reason is we've got two people here. And so when one of them goes to lunch, it's down to one person. They're gone for lunch. The other person returns. So you've got a couple hours in the middle of the day that just have one person. And so never has there been a better time to consider not having the revenue office in City Hall. While it is convenient, especially for me, because I can look at the camera and see when there's no one up there and go walk up front, it's very convenient for us here. It does come with a number of issues. One is lobby overcrowding. It's often the case that if people are here for city business, there's no seats. You'll notice we're constantly trying to figure out how to do that. At the beginning of the month and end of the month, it is standing room only in the lobby. And it is oftentimes a different crowd than is here to do city business. It is quite often that the lobby smells like a marijuana dispensary, and very strong scents. We have just numbers of issues with the use of the building in that respect. So I said it's almost a perfect time. We've also just got done with the 40th birthday, where Courtney did and led an excellent sort of city museum in the building. And a city museum is something that's been talked about for a while. I know City Clerk Treasurer Tina Timmons has advocated for a city museum in the building for a while. And during this, a number of people said, hey, we'd like to see this stuff on display more often. And one of the reasons I haven't pushed to get rid of the revenue office from here, one is because there wasn't another one close by, but two, what would we do with that space? Well, I think we have an answer of what we can do with that space, which is that we can turn it into a little bit of a city museum. We can move the city store into there, and we can have sort of seasonal, we can just kind of work on history. So I just wanted to bring this up to y'all. Technically, the revenue office is reaching out to renew the contract, which I believe expires in October. So there's no immediate decision made, but they will probably reach out to my office and other people's offices 500 times in the next short period of time. So I just wanted to open the floor for discussion on y'all's thoughts about that. Councilmember Gardner?
Personally, ever since the new one opened, that's the only place I go because it is so much faster. But it's not that the staff over there is any more competent, that's not the issue. It's just it's a larger facility and they process things faster. And I guess, you know, I used to come here, but you get used to it, and I guess people just haven't changed. I was kind of the same way you were years ago. I thought it was an added benefit to have it here in Maumelle, but it's literally just 2 miles down the road, even though it's in North Little Rock. And so I don't have any issue with that. But it's extremely convenient. I love going to the other location. But I have, from what, you know, Ms. Roush has done over the years, and I know in the reception area, it has been a struggle with managing city business versus revenue office business. So you kind of answered my question. My question was going to be whether or not we were going to raise the rent to some amount that would make them go, oh, we should just, you know, go to consolidate, or we do have a lease that's up.
Well, it's not a lease, but yes,
An agreement.
They pay $0.
Yes,
So,
yes.
it was what the city did at that time to keep them in the area. We think also what's happening, it's hard to tell, it's all anecdotal, is that folks will say, we'll go to the one in Maumelle. Or even if they say in North Little Rock, it's on Maumelle Boulevard. So the folks are coming to the Maumelle one, and that, when you Google it or put in Google Maps, Maumelle Revenue Office brings you here, not to the one down the road. So I think that as people are trying to figure out where that the new location is, we're getting not just Maumelle folks here, but regionally coming here and driving past that other one. I think, though we haven't delved into these conversations, that they may be able to take the revenue office employees that are here and just move them to that location. I think there's space that would allow that. So then you're still processing the same number of applications and driver's licenses and the like. So,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
any additional discussion on this? What do y'all think?
I have no objection to it. It's a great idea.
It's closer for me, but that's okay.
It is, it's especially closer for me, yeah. I think that is the case, but I'm really wanting a little more guidance as to whether, if anyone has heartburn or they think this is a good idea, because, I don't know that there will be another point in time that we come back and have this conversation, unless we're extending it or the like. Councilmember Williams?
So I love the idea of having a museum and a place to put our stuff. I love the whole display. I was just begging for it to stay. But I do know that it's probably pretty inconvenient having it in your hallway and having people come and go and hang out and look at it. I think this is a perfect solution to that. I had thought at one point, you know, maybe making Park on the River, when we were having all those discussions, something similar to that. But this would be just super easy and convenient. And I think you'd get a lot more people coming through, checking out the museum too, especially if you have a store, you sell your Christmas ornaments and things like that in it. I would use it. I would come a lot. I loved the museum. I loved all the memorabilia, and looking back over the last 20, 30 years, it was just fabulous. But and I don't want it to be put up. I want it to be put somewhere where everybody can enjoy it. I love the whole idea. I have absolutely no objection to it.
Is there anyone who does have issue? Because part of the issue, if the revenue office leaves, even if it's just down the road, is going to be somebody who says, why'd you get rid of the revenue office? Plus, we need to keep this in mind, we have no guarantee that the revenue office will choose to keep that one open permanently, because that's up to them. I don't know why they'd move it, but it's no longer it's no longer guaranteed to be there. Just something I wanted to throw out so that we're not all, that you're not saying, why didn't you tell me that if that does change?
To Councilmember Gardner's point, the last time I came to this one, it was going to be a 2-hour wait. I mean, my number was not even on the, and so somebody just mentioned to me in there, why don't you go to the one up the road, which I did, and I got in and out in like 10 minutes. It was great, and I will always go there as opposed to waiting 2 hours here.
I don't mind waiting, because I just pull my number and then look at the board, but that's a unique
Well,
circumstance. So no,
you have
and I,
things to do
I
you
like
can
the
do while
idea
you
too. I
wait.
just think it's been here for so long that, it'll become an issue to some folks. And so I want to just make sure we're thinking about it and there's not somebody who thinks it's the worst idea in the history of the world and is just thinking there will be another time to talk about it. Councilmember Gardner?
Well, I was just gonna say that, there was a time when we also had an assessor's office. Is that right?
Yes.
It was directly next door, and we don't have an assessor's office anymore. You do it all online, and there's so many things that are, done now. You can also, for the public, you can renew your tags online. So you don't have to go, there are certain things you have to show up for, but, and I do understand, we don't have control over what the revenue office will do one day. But you take all the business that is done here, it's going to go somewhere. And that would further justify hopefully keeping the North Little Rock location open. So I don't have any problems with it. If that location were not there, this would be a tougher, it wouldn't be a decision really. I'd say let's, keep it.
Or if we
Right.
didn't have a use for those areas, but we've got kind of the perfect storm for change.
Yeah.
That area, even with the glass walls, I thought, if the revenue office goes, I can't really just turn it into a different office very easily. But it, for a museum, city store stuff, it'd look great on the other side of that glass. I'd entertain a motion from the council requesting that I look into, ending the, agreement with the revenue office for City Hall.
So moved.
I've got a motion in second. A lot of seconds. Any, additional discussion on that? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion, Councilmember Booker?
Yeah, you can carry it. I'm sorry. I just had a question. So if you do decide to say re-up the lease or whatever, is it another 5 years? Is it by year? Is it?
It's just year to year.
Okay.
And that just gives, them some assurances that if they're gonna be here for a year. And I think there's even an early out clause, but I don't know that we need to try and do that. Just notify them that, we're looking at, ending that.
And my other question is, because I have been in here when they said, hey, it's faster to go down there, and yeah, just because I know them, I stay here, but I had to go downtown, so like you said, that made me think if they do get rid of that one, then we would have to go downtown, which is not, still
Yeah.
not that bad, but.
The benefit we have is the population has increased. So this is one of the conversations I had with Senator Johnson, Representative Lowry, and I forget who it was at DFNA, that was talking about what is the mechanism. You go into a small community, they don't have the numbers to justify a revenue office, but the city or another entity wants to subsidize that and either give them reduced rent or, in our case, free rent. What is the mechanism that ever ends that or terminates it? And the reality is there isn't one. So until we say we're done, Maumelle won't be a million population, but if it was, they'd still be like, well, why are we gonna move out unless we were just a real pain in the rear end? So there's not that mechanism to undo that short of us saying thank you, but it's done. Okay. We'll move on to the next agenda item. Councilmember Holt?
Mr. Mayor, perhaps if the chief of police could provide an officer to be in the lobby near pretty steady basis, perhaps there wouldn't be any smell of marijuana.
So it doesn't quite work that way, because sometimes that smell is quite pungent in court. Not quite as often. And one of the difficulties is there's not people smoking marijuana in the lobby, but
Right.
they come in with that. We don't know whether they're lawfully doing that or unlawfully doing that. And that is just one of the small.
I was being facetious.
No, I thought it was funny. Thank you, sir. That'll bring us to this next agenda item, which is the RDOT interchange project. So RDOT has put in their 2025-2028 STIP, the Statewide Transportation Improvement Program, that is their projects that they're working on and funded. interchange improvements at I-40 and 365. In that STIP, they have $17 million for interchange improvements at that location. And they anticipated a 3.4 million commitment from local jurisdictions, and they reached out to the county to have the county partner and add 3.4 million to that $17 million total. Well, I don't think it gets added to it. It's 3.4 equals the 17 million. Judge Hyde came to me and said that he would like the city to partner for it because one of those interchanges, one side of the interchange is basically in Maumelle and one side is not. I said $1.7 million, that's like our whole annual budget for the street fund. And I said, could you imagine if the county had to put up $20 million, which is roughly their street fund budget? And he said, well, that's exactly what happened his first year when they were funding the Broadway Bridge, and they paid it over multiple years. But I thought at first, why would we want to do this? Why does it benefit us at all to do that? And nonetheless, I reached out to, first of all, I talked to Scott, who told me, we've got to do it. And I was like, let me reach out to RDOT to find out more. And that'll make more sense here in a minute. They're currently at the stage where they need to perform a planning study to see what is needed at that interchange. And they did a preliminary analysis a few years ago, and this is what some of their preliminary analysis identified. They need additional capacity on the westbound ramp intersection, so that's on the county side. Westbound, rush hour home traffic is backing up. To which I said, well, that seems like a county issue. It really isn't. It's a lot of Maumelle residents, but they then start looking at this side of 40, which is in Maumelle, and here's some of the things that they pointed out. They want to look at a traffic signal at the eastbound interchange. So that's folks turning right off of the interchange coming into Maumelle. And that makes sense because in some ways that makes sense because there's more and more traffic there, and if you're making that yield and you're looking back, we've all done that. And maybe this is where we really get the rubber meets the road. And they said the frontage roads are a significant challenge, specifically both frontage roads, Long Fisher and Bicentennial. Long Fisher is that road that is right by the gas station. It's the access road that leads down. I think there's a car lot there, but it also goes back to the Brown property. We've had companies look at that for various projects, and it's kind of dead in the water at the start, because if you're wanting to put a truck stop there, for instance, getting eastbound traffic trucks off of that eastbound interchange to make the very small jaunt and just drive straight across creates problems. So they said, both of those frontage roads are located within 200 feet of the interchange ramp. And both of these frontage roads have potential for development. From experience with other locations, close spacing between interchange ramps and high traffic frontage roads creates a significant operational and safety challenges. Any comprehensive interchange project should consider how to address these issues. So, what is the benefit? I can think of 1.7 million reasons not to get involved, but what is the benefit of that, of us getting involved? And that is that we begin to partner with them at the planning stage and play a role in the planning of this. We think or hope that by doing that, we can hopefully get them to extend the scope that they're looking at beyond just the on-ramps and off-ramps, and extend it down, maybe all the way down 365 to where it meets with 100, so by come and go. That may be a little bit lofty, but we do have an area that is ripe for development with some of the biggest concerns to those areas that development could occur being the lack of good ingress and egress off of 365 onto those roads. So I want to be clear, I'm not asking for money today. There's still stuff to flesh out. If anyone had some questions about some of the value, I told Scott, be careful, because he can explain just how important it is. While I'm looking at that number of 1.7 million and going, that's a whole year's street fund. In discussing it with RDOT, they mentioned that their preferred local match is their preferred local match, and that when they initially estimated the cost, it included the local match, but that there's nothing that prevents us from coming in lower and them maybe just reducing the scope of, or the cost of the project. It's not like there's not a menu that I can look at that says if I give $100,000, you'll hear our input this amount, and if we give 1.7, you'll hear our input a whole lot. But I think the more skin we have in the game to work on that, the better. So we'll call it the interchange project, the North Maumelle interchange project, but we're really actually talking about a lot this. Other than, of course, we all want to get in and off the interchange and I-40 safely and smoothly, we also want to find ways to make some of those areas more attractive for future development. So maybe at this time, Scott, I'll give you, you can have 45 seconds, 15 more than Chief Buford. To just share some of your reasons why you think it's important that we get involved.
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So let me put my stopwatch on here. I'll make sure. So, and the mayor really addressed a lot of it. One of the things that since I've been here, we've tried to do things to promote development in North Maumelle. One of those started with the North Maumelle area plan, which was a vision plan for that area. And it was more of just, for me, from a planning perspective, to think of road alignments on how we can improve ingress and egress, as the mayor mentioned. We have a subdivision plat that is on Planning Commission this month, and it's for 73 lots of townhomes in North Maumelle over here, which ingress and egress plays a role of that. One of the things, actually speaking with Eric Holloway with the Holloway firm, he mentioned, which we hadn't thought about, was connecting that interchange on the western side of the interstate and connecting that to Frontier Drive to make it easier to make that connection into the area that is all greenfield ready for development. So I think playing a role from a city standpoint not only helps us have a better seat at the table to have those conversations to make those connections happen, but it also shows that we are an avid partner with the county, because we are going to need to partner on future things in other areas to get things done, and we certainly want to be a good neighbor, as well as with North Little Rock. We've got grants that are going to, so it's really a regional collaboration, so that's where I say it's a good thing.
Thank you, sir. I can open the floor for discussion. We don't need to make any decisions, but I'm kind of definitely seeking y'all's input. Councilmember Gardner.
You know, I look at this as like something that we do now to improve that intersection, or in 5 to 10 years, the residents would be screaming at us in the state of, why did they allow all of these homes to go in out 365? And it is a nightmare at that intersection in the mornings. I don't usually use it in the evenings, but when I'm leaving for appointments and I'm going one way or the other, it is difficult for sure. So I don't necessarily have any. I think we should partner to do something, and I guess Mayor, you'll determine how much we partner, or you'll bring it back to us. But I would agree that there are economic benefits to doing this because, you know, look, if you can just look at it in a map and see how that land is currently pretty much landlocked. And as you described, businesses that thrive on interstate traffic aren't going to build there because of the way we have grown. It's become a landlocked property of sorts that you don't have easy access to. So I would love to see improvements there for sure. So I think it's an investment in the future, and it's tough to do when it is your full year street budget, you know. So, but I think these are good investments to make down the road that we may not see pay off in the next 5 years, but in 10, 15 years, you start to reap the rewards of that as a city.
Tax revenues that could come, once this
Yeah.
We think that they're gonna proceed with something, and maybe it will be good for us, and maybe it'll just be good to get traffic on and off the interchange. And so it's kind of like we have this shot to leverage, and if we can get in on the planning stage, we have more input than if we come back and just, or if we, I mean, they'll listen to the local jurisdictions, for $0, but if we want a seat at the table, it's that sort of stuff. Councilmember Williams?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I would love for us to have a seat at the table and be involved in the decision-making from the get-go. And I think this is very forward-thinking, especially when you're talking about that frontage road. And we've wanted to develop that all the way to the third exit. And I know people have come in, companies have come in and just thought, you know, no, you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have what it takes for us to build here or to land here. And I do think this is very forward-thinking, and I think it's something that we're gonna have to do. I'd love to be a good partner with the county and love to see it grow. I don't take that exit very often, but I do know that I've had people come, outsiders come and can't figure out where the exit is in relation to that frontage road. They take the frontage road every single time.
And the trucks will get stuck on that frontage road
Yes.
about once a week. if they
Yes.
turn too soon.
So I would love to see a solution and see something better.
Yeah, we literally had a truck stop that wanted to go out there at one point in time. And they said, if you guys can work with us on the interchange off-ramp, and then we just kind of laughed. You're like, oh, you want us to fix the entire off-ramp, and like, this is an RDOT thing. And now it is an RDOT thing, and it's on their radar. Councilmember Shin?
Well, they're about to start a project on the north side, on Marche, out to Marche Lateral, I believe.
I think it's to Marche Road
Yeah.
from the interchange, yes.
Okay.
They'll be wrapped into the same project is what it'll be, but it's.
I know when I went to the presentation, they said we wanted to have them both ready, but we couldn't. So I knew this was coming up. So they're gonna be rebuilding that end anyway, adding, traffic lanes. But, I don't know, it was something I was gonna bring up in council member comments, is I had someone speak with me this weekend, and they wanted to know why this business over here was doing such and such this weekend, and this business over here was closed. And I said, well, that one's in the city, that one's in the county. And they're like, what? I said, yeah, Come and Go is in the county. Well, why hadn't the city made an effort to get all of the land to the interstate tied up into the city? And I said, that's a good question, I'll bring it up again. But they're clearing areas, there's a lot of land for sale out there, and now would be a good time, since we don't have.
There's a lot of action happening, and quite frankly, both the city side and the county side are beneficial. There's no telling when the county side will become a city side, anyway, so.
Yeah, they're gonna need, if they're gonna continue on and go down 365 toward Marche, which, you know, is in the works, they're gonna have to do something with that exchange, and I would love for them to not do it without us. I wanna be a part of it.
Okay, so I'm getting that y'all want me to continue pursuing this, figure out, obviously I can't obligate, nor do I want to obligate funds, but I didn't want to, jump into this too much, because 1.7 is a scary number. That is basically our uncommitted, unassigned reserve fund for the street fund. But I think that we may be able to work with a lower number, and do a multi-year, payout so that we still keep that reserve fund in the street fund, because like most things, we're not just talking about a pile of money. What we're talking about is this project over that project. We've been doing really good with the, our grants, because we've continued to keep that 20% match available, so that we can just basically, whatever grants we can get for projects that we're looking at, we have that reserve. Some cities, you can run into situations where you burn through your reserve, you just keep an operational amount on, but then they're not able to apply for big grants because they don't have that 20% match. So it's just those instances of how do we want to use the street funds, to sort of better the city's overall condition and, the like. So that's what I'm getting, is proceed with something, come back to the council with, specifics. Okay. That concludes this item. The next item is, organizational restructuring. What I'm about to say will be a first for maybe everyone, because the organizational restructuring would include the elimination of a job and therefore the termination of a job. I think it's most appropriate for that conversation to be held in executive session, as termination of employees is a permissible purpose for an executive session. So I'd entertain a motion to move to executive session. So moved and second. I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. All right, so what we will do is we will hold the executive session in the blue room. We can go out through this door. I'm going to leave the video on and recording so that we end up with one video at the end. What that means is y'all are free to talk and move about, but there is a camera pointed this way, and that mic will pick up and broadcast whatever y'all are saying, maybe or maybe not. Just be advised of that. Thank you. What's that?
Are we all going in there?
We're all going to the blue room.
Okay.
You guys leave your stuff. You can leave your stuff. You guys can leave your stuff. Okay. Yeah, I'm leaving it. Oh, I don't need to take notes? Would you take notes? I didn't. Big old books.
still here?
Mine said it, we started it at, I thought we did, this is not 30, 45 minutes.
Really?
How long were we in there?
It's 8 o'clock now.
Well, you guys left at till,
Until seven?
Hour?
yeah,
Hour 15.
6:58.
Okay.
We lost one. Eric's still. Eric's still there. He's still up here. Sorry.
And we have no council member comments, do we?
Can't turn to your chair, sir.
Do we?
I did have one.
That makes
No,
sense.
I already brought mine up.
No,
so
we don't.
I cut mine in on our apartment.
I told somebody I would ask, so I have to ask Terry.
I thought we were making pretty good time on our meeting until we hit all the delay. Yeah. Sunset.
I guess,
God, love a tile.
Oh, a towel? That battery's been dead for a couple of years now. She said I love a tie, and I leaned over to see what. Like, what's Booker wearing today? He's got a t-shirt.
Yeah, no, man, I stopped, my little box. I'll get back to it.
All right.
The first time.
I'm starting to get that more motivation.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and re-adjourn the public meeting. After meeting an executive decision, executive meeting, no formal decisions were made or voted on, but I do anticipate a budget resolution being presented to the city council at the next meeting. And so that concludes the, last, of new business. And really quickly, under mayor's comments, first of all, y'all have the audit. At the next council meeting, we expect the auditors to present it. If you dig into that and have any questions in advance that are fairly complex, feel free to email them to me and I can pass them on to the auditors. Otherwise, they will be here to answer some questions. The next thing is RDOT is installing a cable median barrier down Maumelle Boulevard. We did not know what that was, and we started seeing things. So, you know, the cable medians you see on I-40, that'll be going down the boulevard. We can't really tell how far down, but the project length goes on to Orleans. We're thinking that maybe it'll just go to Riverland, and then they'll have where they start pulling the traffic away, and that should happen overnight, 1 week. Thank you to Mayor Watson for his firm figuring out what was going on. They had to search through RDOT bid lettings, and there's a company that's been doing those, so that's what we think is going on here. Just a heads up, because hopefully they don't go too far down the boulevard, because that'll be first of all, it's not really been a problem with cars crossing the median, but second of all, it becomes a maintenance issue, because you can no longer just mow right down that median. So, it is what it is. That concludes mayor's comments. Are there council member comments? There are.
I was asked about the streetlights on Odom that we were told were being investigated while they weren't working, and we were going to get a contractor to look into that. Any update?
I do not have one, but I can get one for you.
It's been many, many months.
Many, many months.
Many, many months. So do we need a new contractor, or do we need renewed focus on lighting up Odom?
North?
Yeah.
North, south, whichever. I'm referring to south specifically.
North worked for about 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then they hit them again.
Well, I just wanted to put that on the radar because someone asked about it, and it's been a long, long time that the wiring was faulty. Thank you, sir.
Wait, you're talking about the traffic signal?
No, the streetlights.
Okay. I'm glad I clarified. I can look into that and figure it out. To clarify, we're not using a contractor.
There was a
The ones,
discussion
the ones
about-
on Odom South?
Yes, so there's a string of
Okay.
multiple lines that it wasn't a bulk
Okay,
issue,
okay.
it was a wiring issue, they thought. Thank you, sir.
Any additional council member comments? City attorney comments? City clerk comments?
No.
If there's nothing further, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn the city council meeting of July the 7th, 2025.
I've got a motion, second, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, no. Motion carries, we are adjourned.